So early this morning at approximately 2:05, 2:06 a.m. at the club behind me, it's the Heart Club here at 5002 Washington Avenue. We had a officer's dispatch to a shooting that just occurred. We also had 4 officers with HPD that were working an approved extra job at the club and called out over the radio at the time of the shooting. But pretty much what we have learned so far at this point is that 2 males got into a disturbance in the parking lot, we believe over a female. And from that argument, it led to a physical fight between the 2 males. One of the males then ended up producing a handgun and fired the weapon 2 times at least, striking the other male at least once in the chest, where he was pronounced deceased later by HFD on the scene. The suspect ended up fleeing in a white Jeep Grand Cherokee with another female that we believe may be related to this incident or may be the reason why the 2 men were arguing in the first place. At the same time, there was also another person in the parking lot who was carrying a weapon, and after reviewing video surveillance, he was running from the shooting and I think reaching into a bag to produce a gun himself, ended up shooting himself with his own weapon. He was transported to a local area hospital where he was in surgery at this point. We're still waiting to talk to him once he is released from his surgery. Other than that, we're still in the early process of this investigation. We're trying to track down all the people that are here. And we have interviewed some of them to get a basic understanding of what occurred, but we're still trying to get a hold of anyone else who was at the club, who may have seen or heard anything related to this incident, whether it started inside the club and exited out into the parking lot, or if they were just there and witnessed it. They can call the Homicide Division at 713-308-3600, or if they would like to remain anonymous, they can call Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS, TIPS. Any other questions?
Do you know if that all started inside, or was this just isolated outside the parking lot?
To our understanding right now, we believe this was just isolated into the outside in the parking lot. We're not aware of it occurring on the inside initially. The witnesses that we have talked to haven't mentioned that, but we have recovered video surveillance from the club, so we're going to review that later this morning and try to go over all the video surveillance angles that are inside the club and outside and just kind of see where the conflict started and where it transferred over into.
So to clarify earlier, they said that 3 people were shot, the guy who died and 2 others were struck by a stray.
Yes, I'm sorry. There was a third person also. One of the bouncers for the club was in the parking lot at the time of the shooting, and he was struck in one of the arms from the shooting between the 2 males.
But the other guy accidentally shot himself.
That is correct.
For HPD officers here, and something like this still happens, neighbors are upset. We've had several walk up to us talking about this area. What's your overall thoughts on
Well, my overall thoughts is, I can't speak for the officers who are out here. Like I said, I work with the Homicide Division, so as far as the clubs and what's going on out here, I don't really have an opinion on that. There are others that could speak upon that. We have interdictions for the clubs and officers who work with that, sergeants and supervisors who their job is to monitor and observe that. Our extra employment office that reviews all the officers who work extra jobs will be reviewing it as well, and I'll let them make the call on what needs to happen. As far as the HPD officers, nothing was, to our knowledge at this point, violated. None of them fired a weapon or were involved in the shooting itself, because the shooting took place on the back side of the club and they were on near the front entrance.
Do you think the woman is in any danger at all? Did she willingly go with the suspect?
Our understanding at this point is that she willingly went with the suspect or the shooter. But like I said, it's still early in the investigation, so we're going to try to locate her, talk to her to find out what she saw, heard, witnessed, and what she's going through right now.
Sorry, sir, just to clarify, the woman you're talking about is the one these 2 men were fighting over?
That's what we're hearing, but like I said, that's just hearsay at this point. Until we actually talk to her, we won't know. The same thing, until we locate the shooter and sit down and talk to him to find out what their argument started out with, then we'll know more then. Like I said, this is just coming from the witnesses that we have talked to. We haven't spoken to all witnesses, so we've only got a piece of the puzzle. When we get more pieces, we'll be able to see the bigger picture.
Because initially we had heard that it was the ex-boyfriend who showed up, got into an argument with this man outside, and then it led to a shooting. Is that accurate? Was this an ex-boyfriend?
Well, I mean, as you said, we've heard that too. But like I said, until we talk to the shooter and the female, we won't be able to fully clarify that until we talk to them. It's, like I said, still early in the process. We're trying to track down people who we do believe may be involved. And once we sit down and talk to them and find out their side of the story, we'll be able to relay more of that information to you.
Do you have an idea who these two people are, the man and the woman that you're looking for right now?
We've got names, but other than that, we're still trying to investigate it further to track them down and bring them in and talk to them.
And the victim, are you able to give us an age or anything like that?
He's probably in his late 20s, early 30s, Hispanic male. Like I said, until we talk to her, we won't know. We're hearing all kinds of rumors right now and different hearsay from multiple people. And like I said, until we speak to the people who were involved, we won't be able to positively confirm that at this time.
So we could say police believe it might be the ex-boyfriend, or would you rather just us say two men got into an argument over a woman?
I mean, as of right now, the only thing I can confirm is two men got into an argument in the parking lot, which led to a shooting. One of them is deceased over this fight. Now, what they were actually fighting about, we don't know. Like I said, until we talk to the shooter and this female that may or may not have been a girlfriend, we don't know.
And the guy who shot himself, how is he involved in any of this? Why was he trying to pull out a gun?
Like I said, at this point, we weren't able to talk to him because he was in surgery. But once he's out of surgery and we get to talk to him, we'll learn more from him and try to find his. But after talking with the manager at the club, he was not a bouncer, he's not a security guard. I think he was just a random patron that was at the club and just had a gun on him, and you know.
So you can see in the video him pulling out the gun and then shooting himself.
Well, we see in the video he accidentally shoots himself. So I don't know if it was tucked in his pants, in his pocket, but.
The bouncer and this man are both going to be okay?
Bouncer is going to be okay, and the last I checked, he was in surgery, so I don't know, but I don't believe it was life-threatening.
And the 4 off-duty officers were in the front, so heard the gunshots, called it in, and then as soon as they came out, responded to it.
That's correct. When they responded, the suspect had already fled in his vehicle.
And the bouncer had nothing to do with this, right? He was just hit by a stray bullet during the shooting and the argument?
He was trying to break up the fight from what we were told.
Oh, he was trying to break up.
Yes. Good? Y'all are welcome. Thank y'all.